All right, so this is part 2 of the eagerly awaited Alex Ridgeway male nudity story trilogy. I've told a story once before that involves male nudity, and just by coincidence, I have another story tonight that involves male nudity, and then I have another story that kind of involves male nudity that I may tell at one other point. Anyway, I'll get to the story. Sorry. Okay, so I worked at so my first summer job was working at a movie theater. Really busy time of year. It was 1998. Summer of 1999. It was the year the Star Wars, the first Star Wars prequel trilogy movie came out. Phantom Menace, Matrix came out that year. Blair Witch Project came out that year, and we were really a state-of-the-art theater. Had all this special seating and everything. And so we were insanely busy all through the summer, and we were all at each other's throats. We hated each other. It was like Do the Right Thing, but it was like ushers versus snack bar people. It's not a good scene. And there were two people that really stood out in my mind. One was named Jeff. Now, there were two kinds of teenagers that really worked at this kind of job. One were like really straight-laced, take the job seriously types. I was really one of those kids. And then there were the kids who just didn't give a fuck. Were like, just show up, dick around for like 4 hours, get a paycheck, leave. And Jeff was more on definitely more one of those kids. And then there was Jesse. Jesse was an older gentleman. He was in his mid-30s, but he had a developmental disability. And because nothing says last like developmental disability. Right, Alex, that's good. He had an advocate that got a job for him. He lived in a group home. So he looked much older. He was about in his 30s, but he still had the mind of like a 10-year-old, and he was kind of obsessed with sex. And he would talk constantly about like all the like softcore porn he would buy at Suncoast. Anybody remember Suncoast? Big up to Suncoast. And he would talk about like all the girls that he's been with, even though of course nobody believed him. And Jeff would always talk Jesse into doing weird things. Like he would always like in between show breaks when the ushers would clean out the theater, he would talk him into like humping various things around the theater. Like he would talk him into humping like the guardrail that led up to the stairs and like the snack bar after close. He would just hump shit. Anyway, this I gotta say, this is like family. This is awesome. I can see now who my real friends are. Anyway, all of a sudden, I was working in box office and I just walked out. I was finishing up a shift, and all of a sudden I heard this huge commotion going on, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. It turns out Jesse had it was a big group of kids in the break room. Jesse was in there and Jeff was in there. Jesse was standing next to Jeff, and Jeff all of a sudden just decides, apropos of nothing, I guess, just to kind of whip it out. And Jeff loses it. He slams up against a locker, punches him in the face. It takes like 2 or 3 kids to break up the fight, and the cops are called in because there was an officer that worked there. And I remember acting as kind of a go-between. I was talking to Jesse a little bit, trying to sort out how he's feeling. He was really upset about it. He was really crying because he really didn't have any idea of what he did wrong. And we were wondering, did Jeff talk him into this? Was this something that he put him onto? Because you just don't whip it out in a vacuum. When you whip it out, there's some impetus behind it. And that's what we were trying to figure out. Finally, we kind of figured out that Jesse just sort of did it on his own, but he didn't realize what he did. And so as the day went on, the cop, just sort of just went around trying to talk to everybody just to find out what was going on. And Jesse came up to me and he said, and he had a little cut on his hand. He looked at his cut and he said, "Do you think Jeff is gonna get busted for assault? Can I sue him for assault?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Jeff. I don't know, Jesse. I don't know." I'm just rubbing his back, just trying to make him feel better. I talked to the cop about it, and the cop's like, "No, I'm not arresting him. I'm not arresting anybody. I'm a cop. I have better things to do than bust kids for this. So anyway, long story short, and so that I can send everybody home, they both got fired. Thank you.